Padres fans, let's talk about the hot stove. The rumors are starting to swirl on free agency. It's not just the managerial spot that they need to fill. There's already starting pitching ideas being floated out there by some MLB experts. Let's talk about it on this episode of Padres Digest. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'm Christian Pedersen, one of the two hosts. I'm just trying to make emotional sense of how we, exist in a world where the Dodgers are able to just keep on being linked to, they're going to spend a zillion on Kyle Tucker and on this and on that. But hey, here we are. It's offseason. It's free agency. If you want to talk about anything related to this video or say something else you want to see a video, drop a comment. And as always, if you want to hit the subscribe button, I would much appreciate it. But no worries. I'm going to still be here talking Padres for you all offseason long. Saw this headline and we're at a point where this is still so early stage that I will give the disclaimer for the rest of this video. Most of this is opinion and rant and editorializing more than actual meat and potatoes of, oh my gosh, X, Y, and Z deals are about to happen. But that being said, it's still to me an interesting discussion to start. I had a video yesterday that was on Michael King and his estimated $90 million that he's going to get. And we've talked a couple times about how Dylan Cease, not more than a couple times, we've talked all season about how Dylan Cease and Michael King are most likely, if not entirely likely, to depart San Diego. So the pitching ... question mark. Dylan Cease and Michael King leaving is a on paper, if you look at them total career-wise, a loss for the Padres. If you look at them on paper for what did we really get out of them last year versus how far that we went, losing them isn't the end of the world. If they both go back next year to being their very best selves and are MLB All-Stars, throwing no hit, then of course this is something where we can Monday morning quarterback and be that's the worst season ever or the worst thing ever to have let those two go. But looking at the rest of our lineup, They talk about it a little bit in the article for Joe Ryan, and it's something interesting where I think, at least for myself, because the article talks about what next year's rotation is going to be like, and it talks about Pivetta had a great year, but then it brings up Musgrove, and I'm like, man, Joe Musgrove just wasn't even a fact. We knew that he was going to miss the year, so I don't even think I was ever allowing myself to factor in if we also had Joe Musgrove right now, we'd be set. So Musgrove coming back with Pivetta, that's an okay 1-2. Darvish is going to be his own thing, and I've got videos on that and more coming out later, so that's why I say hit the subscribe button. But hypothetically, if Darvish is back at the 3, good, and then fill out the 4 and the 5 with, if you want to bring up Randy Vasquez or something like that. So if you we'll call it an internal spot for one of those, great. And then at the 5, do we benefit from Michael King? Yes, of course. Do we need Michael King? No. We can get some other options, and that's where that Joe Ryan headline, I think, was one of the 2 or 3 interesting sort of trade-related nuggets. This was the main part where it linked where it said in the article in Sports Illustrated about Bleacher Report about the report directly linking the Padres to Joe Ryan from the Minnesota Twins. For those of you that maybe doesn't necessarily follow it, the Twins did not have a great year. They went almost entire fire sale. Did not get rid of everybody. Byron Buxton is still there, and so is Joe Ryan. His season, just over a 3 ERA, 31 starts, struck out almost 200 batters, pitched almost 175 innings, first All-Star game. It's the 175 innings out of that, of anything that I look at it and go, okay, hell yeah, I'll pick this guy up as the 5. Not that he's going to. I'm not saying that we would put an All-Star in the 5 spot, but just to be the dude that rounds out this piece. Now the Padres don't have nearly the farm system that they had even last year, but let alone 2 or 3 years ago. They have Ethan Salas. He is a young piece. They have international money. I think that unless the Twins are looking at the rest of the division around, if Tarek Skubal leaves the Tigers and leaves the AL Central, and there's a couple of other things, maybe the Twins go into next year with some increased optimism and go, bang, we're doing these 3 things and we're fixed. But I think that we could also be looking at the Twins that are maybe, hey, we did part one of the fire sale. Let's finish it off in the offseason, and let's really just be loaded to the gills with assets for a build back up kind of run. And that's where I talked myself into the rationalization of like, this could be a real deal. Getting these kinds of numbers could be achievable under what's left of his contract, to have the Padres, send Ethan Salas, Turso, and, a couple million of international money in exchange for the last couple years of Joe Ryan's contract. Okay, I'm in. Drop a comment if you like anything about this Joe Ryan deal or not. Let me know. But it then got me kind of looking wider and thinking, okay, if the Padres aren't able to make a splash, who are arms that are coming up on free agency? And I didn't necessarily do like an exhaustive, complete rundown of all of it. But this next one came up to me really interesting, of the Brewers being interested about shopping Freddie Peralta going into the last year of his deal. And it made me think that maybe the wider scope of all of this is that in reality, this could be a situation. And hear me out. I get that this causes perhaps some panic, but this could be a situation where the Padres pitching fix is something that doesn't something that is not out there yet right now. Or is it something that isn't a Padre right now, someone that isn't a free agent? Like, it's a situation that is going to arise where X, Y, or Z people wind up as the Padres pitching fix because of something like, if the Brewers going into this are like looking at a work stoppage and they're just trying to be like, oh man, we're not going to get this guy anyway re-signed. Maybe there are some details like that the Padres can pick up and be like, okay, that's how the Friars wound up with X, Y, or Z. And okay, so maybe there's only one of those deals, but I could also see where the Padres could, make one of these moves like this early in the offseason, and then make a Freddie Peralta or something else kind of splashier move, 2 months into next season. And that isn't taking things on an extreme leap of faith. But I think that we could be at a spot where the answers to the Padres pitching exist in, we just got to see who the first team to collapse is next season. I don't know. It got me, having done a couple of free agency videos, it got my brain just sort of going about what is out there for the Friars, maybe in other forms of solutions there. So drop a comment. Let me know what you think. And as always, hit the subscribe button if you want. We'll talk to you guys soon.